So you were carrying a significant injury during that battle.
He broke his collarbone.
Fell off a horse. Yeah, it was really painful. A lot of painkillers and a lot of screaming.
What the dramatists want to do is show individuals having amazing balletic fighting. The nightmare is that a lot of medieval battles are just minging rugby scrums of pushing.
Yeah, I mean, 7,000 men on each side. The way we wanted to recreate the drama was to give a sense of the massive scale of it.
I've already broken the peace agreement here.
Harald's got Moustache in the Bear Tapestry, I think, I can't remember. Was there pressure for Moustache?
No. Was there?
My son Ethel should have been a king. But the world has a sense of humour, does it not?
Also, the emphasis, obviously, in our history books is on Harald. Why didn't the French tell the story? That's the weird thing. I mean, they won.
Guys, thanks so much for coming on. It is the OG story. It's the greatest story in English history. But what do you think took everyone so long? For years we've been asking for this show. You guys delivered it. Why?
We have a theory.
I think the way in which we found worked. This is Mike Johnson and Ed Clark, who kind of teamed up many years ago, kind of figured out that if we actually didn't focus on one of the protagonists and we gave them equal kind of attention, Harald and William, it unlocked the story in a different way. So we used this kind of, Kitty doesn't like me comparing it to Heat, but it was that kind of Heat setup.
Totally, because that's the weird thing about this story. It's the three guys. You can't, I guess you couldn't split it three ways, but you know.
You need Hardrada, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it is really interesting because if you're looking only at the Anglo-Saxon Harald version of the story, it's one man's journey and he fails. Or if you're only looking at the Norman William version of the story, he's the guy that, from a British perspective, you don't really want to win. So it's about their interconnecting narratives. And also the fact that they knew each other. We weren't taught that in school, that they were related by marriage and that they fought alongside each other.
That crown, I'm gonna have to give it up now. I can't. So be it. So be it.
The timeline's super interesting, right? Because I always thought, when I heard about it, you'll start just with Edward Confessor dying on his bed. You know, the scene where you whisper, or it said that he whispers, okay, Harald, you're up. And then you just kind of super go in, zone in on 1066. But you guys took a much longer look at this kind of extraordinary period of history in the 11th century. What was that about?
I mean, obviously we took a longer look at it, but we also had to conflate the timeline. So there were benefits and there were sacrifices that we had to make as a result. But we felt it was really, really important to properly examine not just the role of Edward the Confessor and his mother, Lady Emma, in setting up the story, but also give Harald and William and their families and those relationships the chance to breathe. Because actually, if we started at the point that Edward was dying and either saying to Harald, it's you, or saying to William, it's you, and obviously historians debate this, we were concerned, and I feel really strongly that we were right. We wouldn't have earned the kind of the respect and the love for each of those characters because we wouldn't have spent any time with them. And we also wouldn't have had the opportunity to build up the importance of their wives.
What do you think my father saw when he looked at me?
Himself.
I doubt that. What do you think he sees?
Protection.
Does it matter as an actor? Do you need to understand these things, or actually is what important is just delivering the script as well as you can?
Do you know what? It's a mixture. I think it matters. It does matter. You have a responsibility if you're playing someone from history. You have a responsibility to know about them and honour their memory and get as close as you can. And the further back you go, the less you have about them. Less pictures, less recordings. I mean, we don't have any recordings of Harald. Unfortunately, we don't know how he spoke or what he looked like really.
What about you, Harold? Well, Harold's never going to be Earl, so... Oh, don't worry, Swain. It's your title. No one's going to take it away from you.
It must be so hard about historical dramas because I'm going to set the comments on fire. I like Braveheart. I like Gladiator. I like Turner's painting of Hannibal crossing the Alps. I like Shakespeare's Henry V. I think artists should be allowed to take some history, be inspired by it, then just riff on it. And if necessary, if you wanted to, change the ending. I mean, you didn't, and I think it's better because you didn't. But that's what artists, actors, writers should be doing, right? But is it stressful doing history? Because people are going to be like, well, I'm not sure that happened. Or is it nice just to act in parts and produce parts where there is no sort of original text that people can check you against?
We went into this knowing that we were going to spark some conversations, and some people won't be happy and some people will be happy. And as you say, we sit with you, we really enjoy taking the source material and really honouring as much as we could, and we didn't have to force it either. The incredible thing is that so much of our kind of pillars, our main sort of story points, are all true, and of course there's masses we have to kind of extrapolate from those and fill in the gaps, and that is also really fun. One thing I would say about the playing of real people, you do have these incredibly poignant moments. Admittedly we shot this in Iceland, I'm sure we'll come to discuss that for various reasons, and it was an amazing experience doing it there. But I did have these moments, particularly I remember on the Battle of Hastings day, it was a couple of weeks, standing there fully dressed as Harald, and knowing that no one had dramatised it in the 1,000+ years since, and thinking, can you imagine Harald, like thinking 1,000 years time there's going to be some guy dressed as me
on top of the hill.
On top of the hill. It's a strange honour.
And in fact, it gets quite exciting and spicy as well. Anyway, should we look? Let's watch some clips.
Yeah.
Can we watch some clips?
That is Mercian iron, Father. Tostig and I saw a massacre with our own eyes. It was Mercians.
It's madness is what this is.
You won't accept what is right in front of you.
Just as the three earldoms have finally agreed a peace, you're saying that the Mercians have decided to throw it all away.
I am telling you what I know.
What do you think, Swain?
Yeah, well, I think you're right, Father. I think it is madness.
Godwin.
Dun.
They are the ultimate. They're the medieval power family, aren't they? I love the Godwins.
They really are. Yeah.
With Jeff Bell at sort of front and centre.
And the sort of succession vibe.
Yeah.
Who's going to take over?
Strong succession vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swain, a total wrong'un.
Yeah.
Such a wrong'un.
Tostig, who does this, one of the great betrayals of history.
Yeah, he totally loses it. It's so tragic.
And then you did not include the two other brothers. I've always been very fond of Girth and Leofwin.
I know. I'm
But
so sorry about that.
Don't apologise.
It was too
It's
many.
okay. I know,
There was too many.
brothers.
We also had to change all the ladies'
Edith,
names
Sister
as well.
Edith, but not Edith.
Yeah, Gunhild in ours.
Edith, and Edith. We had three Ediths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's fun. I mean, that's succession. That's fun. That sort of generational, and the sort of personal power that people are wielding in that period.
Well, and also actually in terms of the context of what you were talking about earlier and playing Harald, actually being a middle child, not being the eldest, not being the one who was sort of supposed to take over, that also informed quite a lot of how you saw the character.
That was
kind
a
of
huge
wrestling.
unlocking, yeah. But in answer to your question about how do you play these historical characters, you do borrow and you read the books and you go to the library, etc. But then the thing which unlocks is something deeply human and very, very identifiable, which is something really simple like oldest child, or something traumatic or beautiful at birth, something which kind of father son, yeah. So when we really started honing in on Harald as this middle child and the fact that he hadn't really been appreciated by his father and he had this brilliance, and there's a line where he's sort of Godwin is sharpening the sword of Harald, waiting to ultimately give him the earldom. Claire Holman's character, my mother, Githa, says, you can over sharpen a weapon. And so there's this kind of wonderful dynamic between Godwin and Harald. He is proud of his son, but he doesn't show it. And he ultimately kind of sharpens him too much and Harald breaks as a result. So that was all really interesting ways in for me as a character.
Father, I will prove it. Let me bring you proof.
By crossing the border and breaking the peace yourself. Another 10 years of civil war, is that what you want?
I've already broken the peace agreement here.
Did you think I wouldn't see it? Huh? 4 kings. 4 I've served as Earl of Wessex. And I never broke my word to any of them.
That was one of the scenes which kind of remained intact. It had many forms, but some scenes in that very first draft, and the number of drafts you have on these scenes, these shows are unreal. It must have been 20, 30, 40 drafts of each episode. But that scene was in the very first draft, and Harald came in like a bull, coming in hot. And I remember we did various versions where I came in very, very hot, kind of as a sort of remnant of that early draft. And then Balthasar, to his credit, is like, let's bring it down, and eventually you get something again more human.
But it's doing a lot of work, that scene, because you're going, right, everyone, this is a country that's had a lot of monarchs. Godwin is a sort of power behind the throne. He's getting a bit old. He's got some feisty sons. There's been a lot of turbulence. And then you're also setting up this idea that England is a kingdom, but there's some quite powerful groups within it. So yeah, a lot of lifting in that.
Trying to not do too much exposition, but having
But
to
it's
get the
tough.
information
It's
in.
It's
Yeah.
tough,
We
isn't it?
did
Yeah,
think
tough.
we did think for about 5 minutes of having one of those maps at the beginning, saying this is Wessex, this is Northumbria. Yeah, but actually, I think people get on board. There are 3 big earldoms, and they're the kingmakers.
Clothes. I mean, I'm not an expert in 11th century fashion. I mean, how into the weeds do you guys get on that, or is that quite artistic license?
No, our costume designer, our hair and makeup designer, and our production designer were all incredibly well versed by the time that we were sort of into prep on the period, on the one hand, but obviously on the other hand, as we've discussed, there are there's a plethora of sources, and then there are also huge gaps. So we just watched the Godwin Longhouse, and those costumes were very well researched in the sense that you were wearing probably like 8 layers of leather every single day, really weighed down by it, probably quite sweaty. And Maga, our brilliant costume designer, really wanted to honour that. The same was true of all of the armour. In terms of the Longhouse itself, that was pretty accurate to the period insofar as its scale. The whole stockade, the Godwin stockade, was built around the idea that they did have these longhouses and these kind of smaller dwellings. And then there was a kind of, a walled structure around which there would be more dwellings and kind of farmland. But that was the kind of basic setup. But beyond that, they had to play.
And were those sets all available in Iceland? Is that why you shot it?
No, we built them.
You built them?
100% built. There's nothing.
All
There's
the-
some nice digs you guys built there.
All the interiors are all built, all studio builds. And what's really interesting is if you were to find and source the remaining medieval castles, rooms that exist in England, they're tiny and they're really hard to shoot in.
As
And
well.
ruined. Yeah.
They're looking a bit old.
They're looking a bit old, drafty and a bit wet and miserable, but they're also really small. And so actually we were able to repurpose different sets as well. So once we'd shot out one location, we were able to move into a new castle. And whilst we were shooting that one, the previous castle or stockade would be repurposed to be a different set.
So bedrooms were actually stockades, or cells were actually dining rooms.
My son Aethel should have been a king. Was born to be a king.
But the world has a sense of humour, does it not? Look at you. You look like a king, don't you? Oh, yes, you look like one. Aethel had his father's ferocity, you see, but Edward has his father's face.
But you, William, the strength of my brother is in you. I can see it. Let this be the beginning of a great alliance.
You seem very sure.
Because this is our family reunited. Our blood will be the power of Europe. And this is how your father wanted it to be. My crown in your protection.
My crown.
You were never meant to be king.
But I will be. Tomorrow.
She's good.
She's so
good,
brilliant.
guys.
What a legend.
What a legend.
They're all good.
Again, you're doing a lot of work in that scene because it is so fascinating this period. You've got Emma of Normandy, who's married to both an Anglo-Saxon and then a Viking king of England, has sons with each one. So she's got Norman sympathies. She's invited Duke William over, and a visit that we think did occur, don't we?
At least many historians argue it did, so we went with it.
But then, fascinatingly, you also got the fact that Edward the Confessor has been forced to marry the daughter of the Godwin family. The sister of all these hard, warriors. I mean,
And only as a result of Emma's first son being murdered by Godwin.
a gift to dramatists, right? It's an extraordinary
incredible. Yeah.
setup.
And hopefully Juliet agrees to an actor to have so many different allegiances kind of bubbling under your skin for that character. And then how weird to be Edward the Confessor, who is king, who is the most powerful man in the country, and yet
Reliant on the Godwins, reliant on his mother. Yeah.
which was sort of systemic. It was the way the Earls ran England.
Did you not think about getting Moustache? Because didn't we? Harold's got Moustache in the Bear Tapestry. I think I can't remember.
Yeah, he does.
But they don't know necessarily which is which.
I see that I've started something. Was there pressure for Moustache?
No.
Okay.
Was there?
Well, there was a lot of discussion when we were in prep, and Alistair was just presenting drawings, these ideas, and it was felt that they shouldn't both have moustaches, and Nikolai looks great with a moustache.
Not that I don't, thank you very much.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
Shots
Back
fired.
off.
Was there one moustache floating about?
We could only afford one moustache. BBC.
Yeah, it's true. Nikolai lost a bet. And
Yeah,
he had to
exactly.
end up with a moustache.
I don't know why I don't know. I think that the look for Harald was a kind of work in progress. I think initially I had quite a lot of beard and I was very rugged.
Was it a real moustache?
No.
Okay, fine.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
No, it
was
wasn't. Looks. Yes, it was real.
Okay. Because he is also another, I keep saying this, that's what's great about this story. He's another one of genuinely the greatest characters of the 11th century, if not of all of medieval history. We're going to do Harald Hardrada. Let's have a quick clip here. You dialed this one straight up to 11.
Yeah, we wanted to hit
What's
him over
this?
the
You
head with
say
it.
a giant Viking?
More nations and killed more kings than history remembers. So tell me, Saxon insect, why should I keep you alive? What help are you to King Hardrada?
I am Harold's brother.
I mean, what a moment.
What a moment. End of our episode 6, cliffhanger.
You basically just saw the text say enormous, scary Viking and just went all in, didn't you?
We're shooting in Iceland, so.
Yeah, fire, massive legend. I mean, what?
I mean, the sagas really like amp up their lead roles. So we had a lot of historical source material where Hardrada was this like god.
And I think he really was, wasn't he?
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, me too.
So you had an opportunity. It felt like a good opportunity for you guys. Was there ever a chance? Was there a world in which there would have been more of him, or because you had to focus on that critical relationship?
Yeah, I think it was because it was about that dual narrative. We couldn't spend too much time on him. We were just confined by 8 episodes, 8 hours. But I agree. I mean, what an unbelievable character, and also the way he pivots, because his focus was so much more on the east, wasn't it? And then he was sort of lured towards England, and that was his big mistake, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's fighting in Iraq, Ukraine, and then he dies in a ditch in Yorkshire. I mean, it's an astonishing thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Really tragic.
I mean, there's so much. That's the other thing about telling these huge, sprawling stories is there are many sacrifices you have to make.
Yeah.
At the end of Stamford Bridge as well, the story of the Viking on the bridge. You know,
we really wanted to tell that part of it too.
There's so much stuff which you're like, oh, I can't quite get it in, but you know, spoiled for choice.
Archers! Roll!
Did you hit the battle quite near the end?
At the very, very end.
Good.
But that was for.
That feels appropriate.
That was appropriate.
We
Yeah.
needed to go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also because he broke his collarbone.
He broke a collarbone in a fighty way, or just
Fell off a horse. And so we had to
in
during the
Iceland,
shoot?
in a rehearsal. So we had to then shoot the Battle of Hastings at the very end because we had to
It was scheduled for sort of the last 4 weeks of the shoot, and we pushed it to the very, very, very end so that he could recover.
So you were carrying a significant injury during that battle.
Yeah, it was really painful. A lot of painkillers and a lot of screaming.
Every time he kind of roars triumphantly, he's actually going, ow!
Because you're screaming, hold the line, and you look like you're doubled over. We'll come on to it, but you're actually in pain.
I was in a lot of pain, yeah.
So when I said, oh my God, I was really moved by your performance, actually you were just wincing because you'd broken your goddamn collarbone.
It was, the screaming was not so bad, the fighting was tough.
I bet it was.
Because I hadn't recovered. And my doctor, the Icelandic doctor who, I kept having these sessions with him, and I'd be like, listen, I think now you can move on to light exercise, if, maybe a little bit of sort of low, below the elbow exercise. And I was like, what about, this
what
kind
about
of action?
massive overarm
yeah.
sledgehammer?
And I had to just go for it. But yeah, no, the other thing to go back to the look, which we should add, is that you've got the historical details, which we were as close as we could be, with MAGA and our brilliant HODs. But there was also the other element to it, which is kind of the dirt and the authenticity and the kind of grit and the light. And and Balthazar very early on was, I don't want to make this pristine, kind of cozy, polite. He wanted to make it dirty and bloody and smelly, and we were covered.
Steady! Hold the line! Hold the line! Hold the line! That crown. You're gonna have to give it up now.
I can't.
So be it.
So be it.
I know it's not about historical accuracy and ticking, but I did think that depiction of Hastings was particularly good.
Thank you so much.
You know, it was interesting. Like seems like you went all in on really. Like I love the shapes of the shields you see on the bare tapestry. The English seem to have rounder shields and the other had teardrop, but it was pretty epic.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean the art department put an immense amount of research into the details, but then also that finding that location was really important because we felt like if we're not shooting in the UK, which we couldn't for so many reasons, mostly creative, like where would we go? Senlac Hill, finding that incline so that we were sure that the Anglo-Saxons were in that defensive position, despite it not working out for them, was really important. It took us quite a long time to find that location.
And all the beats are real as well, the feigning of William's death and the breaking down of the wall, it's all legit.
No, I was super impressed actually. And also you've done that with the killer with medieval battles is what dramatists want to do is show individuals having amazing balletic fighting. The nightmare is that a lot of medieval battles are just minging rugby scrums of pushing, and you are really honest about that. And you have this great, like the ebb and flow of that shield wall.
7,000 men on each side doesn't present as
cheap. It would have been cheaper to flick a coin.
But no, I think actually you've kind of hit the nail on the head. Like the way we wanted to recreate the drama was to give a sense of the epic and the kind of the massive scale of it by that period standards, but without just doing drone shots. And not just tell the story of the battle accurately or as accurately as we could, but also tell the kind of the emotional story of these two men and what they were going through and the decisions they were having to make.
The arrows as a start, you got that shield wall's great, and then there's that pause, you're waiting for those arrows. There's a big gap between shooting them off and then them landing.
Every movie which uses that, and can you imagine what it must be like to see this kind of swarm of killing sticks, these things flying at you? Terrifying.
And your job, you were just shouting, hold the line, and that was the job they had to do that day. Just make it so painful for the Normans to march up that hill that they just stopped trying to do that.
Hold the line, and then they didn't, and ultimately that was what kind of cost us literally our Anglo-Saxon era. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you see those scenes and I am actually just shouting into a blue screen. I'm all of them. Usually when you see a close-up of someone's going, hold the line, there's just nothing.
The men aren't there.
There's just a tent.
Shoot on different days.
Yeah, and a lot of the shots behind, so a lot of, what you do is because you've got this, it's hard to explain, but the sort of the specifics of shooting, but a lot of the time there's like an over the shoulder when you see huge vistas.
Yeah, that's...
I'm actually shooting into a blue. I'm shooting into a blue screen. Then we use a slate, and we sort of superimpose me on top of the slate.
I should ask about being an actor. There have been interviews, haven't there, with some people in full CG movies when you're not really working with other humans in a set. You're just doing the whole thing in a screen or that it's actually not super satisfying. So
we were. None of that was shot. I mean,
this was all on a hill.
This was all on a hill.
Very cold.
I mean, the only piece of sort of CGI we did is what I'm describing was where you're trying to build this huge sort of vista, and you don't have 7,000 extras, and so I'm over the camera's over my shoulder, and it's a blue screen. But generally, I mean, we were there and also what was amazing about the days we shot the Battle of Hastings, particularly the speech days, was that there was this gale force wind, and all the flags are flying like crazy, and me included and the essays were all like sort of surviving the elements. Our noses are running, our eyes are streaming. We're kind of standing there feeling heroic.
Yeah, well, and your shoulders hurting, your eyes are streaming.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears behind you.
A lot of pressure as well.
A lot of pressure, but yeah, I mean, both in terms of kind of what I was saying earlier about this kind of quite profound, quite moving connection with Harald, and the idea that no one's ever dramatised him and told his story before, this responsibility, but also the sheer amount of work we put in. When you're there and you get to that moment, you are ready.
You do your own stunts.
Yes, well, I had an amazing stuntman called Rollo, his Icelandic name is Rollo.
He's actually called Rollo. That was William the Conqueror's ancestors called Rollo. Okay, but you're training, you're having to learn how to swing a sword.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So we had an amazing stunt team in Iceland. Really, like so thorough, committed. We would rehearse a lot in this beautiful, massive. They do a lot of swimming in Iceland. They have these huge public swimming pools, and attached to them are gyms and sort of studios. And Nikolai and I would go down to this municipal pool and with the stunties, and we would train for hours, get very sweaty, and then we would all go into the pools, the hot and cold pools, completely naked.
Yeah.
Which was an Icelandic custom which I wasn't aware of until the first day.
Very
where
sensible.
You're sitting in the pond with all these
massive men.
Massive stuntmen, yeah. I didn't know that you had to shower naked, and I walked into the showers with my swimming trunks on.
It's so
these like
Such a faux pas.
these 8 stuntmen who I'd been training with for the last 3 hours just go, no. Off. It's much worse pulling your trousers.
So wet, like wet
in
trousers.
Much worse doing it then than walking in naked. I had to like sort of shimmy out and put that aside. But no, we did a lot of stunt training and a lot of swimming and soaking afterwards, and it was really fun. They were brilliant, the stunt team on this, yeah, I really enjoy it.
And they also recruited, I mean, for Hastings and Stamford Bridge itself, we had a ton of supporting artists, obviously, but actually a load of them were our stunt guys, formerly employed by the shoot, but also just, Icelanders who wanted to get involved.
Yeah, they
what
loved
a
it.
fun day out.
Yeah. They're all these guys. Jon Vidar is our stunt coordinator, and he has this team of kind of fighters and like the reenactment kind of they're all warriors. They're these Icelandic warriors with these huge beards and muscles, and they live and breathe this stuff. They all came and would just dine out on the different weapons and the types of kind of formations. They knew a lot, and so for them it was a complete privilege.
No one knows how Harald dies.
Yeah.
In the end, you do a kind of clever thing. You kill him in the melee. William doesn't kill him himself.
Yeah.
It's quite and is that because you didn't want one of them to sort of win in that kind of silverback way? It was in fact he's just killed in the press of battle. That's exactly. It was
a combination of lots of things. It was for dramatic and creative purposes, not wanting to say William beat Harald, even if his army did, or Harald beat William, which of course isn't what happened. There's a moment where Harald is about to kill William and he hesitates, and that felt really important to us, that Harald could have won in his own way. But also, actually, historically speaking, the sources so wildly differ. I mean, it's William of Poitiers, who is a different Norman, right? He thinks he was kind of torn apart and disemboweled or whatever. Lots of people feel that William's men did it, even if William didn't.
There's a lot about William's bodyguard.
And a lot about William's bodyguard.
Which is what we went with.
Yeah. But we also really did want to honour the kind of iconic symbol of the arrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you have to. It's in the Bay of Tapestry. It's what people know of. And so it felt like it would have been a real damp squid dramatically if Harald had just been kind of wandering through battle and suddenly he was down from an arrow out of nowhere.
I mean, we are probably the most historically accurate in terms of the likelihood of Harald being taken out by a stray arrow in the eye is very unlikely, isn't it? Let's be honest. But it's there on the Bear Tapestry. So how did it end up there?
There are a whole thesis written about that, which I will not bore you with. But it's Did you guys end up having an opinion? I mean, I think you're probably a bit biased. But do you guys end up thinking actually who was the rightful heir to the throne in 1066? What's your guy? It's Harald.
I think most of the history books, the ones which we read, painted Harald in a pretty decent way. Like, he was a great king, great leader, decent man. I mean, he went a bit off the rails in Wales, I think.
Yeah.
He wasn't very nice to the Welsh. But generally, I think as leaders and as kind of men of integrity go, as a family man, a loyal, pragmatic, decent ruler.
Yeah,
okay, so
Team
you
Harald.
end up Team Harald. Now, did Mr. Bannister end up on Team William, just out of interest? Like,
yes.
If he was really? He's Team William?
Yeah, it was quite fun, actually. It was quite nice because we did have these amazing scenes together. We were all in Iceland together for pretty much the whole thing. Obviously, Kitty was coming and going a lot. I was there the whole time as an actor, but also as an exec producer. Nikolai directed episode 5, so neither of us left. We were there the whole time, and the cast didn't want to leave because Iceland is spectacular, and you're in. And we were kind of like a sort of sports team on tour, and so it was you kind of nestled into your little tribes, and we definitely had the Godwins, and we had and it was fun. It was a kind of like a fun rivalry, and I do remember having a conversation in the middle of the shoot with Nikolai and going, yeah, but I mean, come on, the Godwin story is way more interesting. And he goes, are you joking? And he very, very seriously went, Mate, Arthur
Baldwin of Flanders is brilliant.
Baldwin is so brilliant. Clemence playing Matilda. I mean, they did have an incredible tribe.
Little huddle thought they were actually
completely. He was like, you know what? You've not seen what Jean-Marc Barr's doing. It's insane. I'm like, mate, wait for Jeff Bell. Honestly, it was amazing, kind of this sort of separation.
Do you want to do more history? Is it fun? Is it?
I'd love to do more, and we've got stuff percolating, for sure.
I think we want to do some more. Yeah.
I'm a 18th century guy, obviously.
Yeah.
Men's fashion. It looks good in the 8th century.
I think we could
go...
Am
I telling you that? You were Prince Bolkonski or whatever he's called. You look fabulous in War and Peace.
Yeah.
That's a good... Those outfits are good.
Yeah, we had an amazing costume designer on that.
But that's a good period.
Yeah, an amazing period. Loved doing that. Although I have done that. Plantagenets.
Oh, right, yeah.
Eleanor
Aquitaine. Eleanor Aquitaine, one of the greats.
Mega.
One of the greats.
Yeah, and the 3 sons and the King of France.
Isabella, She-Wolf of France. Loved her as well.
That.
Loved her. Nice. Going way back, potentially, earlier.
Yeah.
Talking about stuff. So, who knows?
King Arthur. Right. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Dan Snow, and if you love history, you know that History Hit is on a mission to bring the past to life. Every week, we travel the world to film original and in-depth documentaries. And now History Hit has launched a YouTube membership to give you access to even more films released weekly. Become a History Hit channel member now to make sure you never miss out on exclusive documentaries on topics like newly discovered shipwrecks and the clash of gladiators. We cover all time periods and all subjects, from Pompeii to D-Day. Click the join button on the History Hit YouTube channel, or click the link in the description and see for yourself what History Hit has to offer. We can't wait to have you join the team.